योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिं गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः हरिः ओम्। So today we start with 1.44 that will deal with Savichara and Nirvichara Samapatti. So we've already looked at Savitarka and Nirvitarka. We also touched upon the Avayava Sambandha, and in the previous session he sort of elaborated on that and gave it a lot of depth and breadth beyond that. So today we'll start with 1.44. The sutra is Etayaiva Savichara Nirvichara cha Sukshma Vishaya Vyakhyata. So if you look at let's look at the individual terms as usual. So Etaya Eva, which means in this similar manner alone. Right? So in the similar manner as what? In a similar manner, through a certain way, the distinction between the Savitarka and Nirvitarka was drawn. In that same manner of thinking, the Savichara and Nirvichara, Savichara Nirvichara cha Sukshma Vishaya. So, Sukshmaha Vishayaha Yasyaha Sa. So, the one for which the Vishaya or the object in question is Sukshma. Sukshma means subtle, not directly perceivable through the indriyas, through the senses. So those are the Sukshma Vishaya. So Sukshma Vishaya, it qualifies the Samapatti. Okay, so Sukshma Vishaya Samapatti. Sukshma Vishaya Vyakhyata has been defined. Okay, so that's pretty much what Patanjali is saying, that in a similar manner, with respect to the subtle objects, the Savichara and Nirvichara Samapatti has been defined. That is what the sutra means. Now, when we say in a similar manner, okay, so there was a certain way in which the Savitarka Nirvitarka distinction was drawn, which was about Shabda Sanketa and Jnanam and so on, and that to be removed, and Smruti Parishuddhi, Arthamatra Nirbhasa. So there was a certain way by which we went from Savitarka to Nirvitarka. It is a similar thing for Savichara and Nirvichara. However, because the object is now the subtle entity, the subtle fundamental entities of Prakriti and so on, there is something to be understood as to how this Savichara and Nirvichara distinction is drawn. And that is what Vyasa will explain in his Bhashya. So now let us look at what Vyasa has to say. So, Tatra, there, Bhuta Sukshmeshu. Okay, so Bhuta Sukshma is the subtle element of sort of the entire Prakriti, of the physical manifestation, as opposed to the metaphysical entities of Purusha and so on. Okay. So, Bhuta Sukshmeshu, among the Bhuta Sukshmas, the subtle entities, Abhivyakta Dharmakeshu. Okay, so Abhivyaktihi. So, Abhivyakta Dharmakeshu means, with Dharma here is the characteristics. Okay, Dharmaka is the one with the characteristics. So, among the Bhuta Sukshmas, among the subtle entities, with manifested characteristics. Okay, so any entity, particularly the subtle entity, has several possible manifestations, but the one related to the currently manifested characteristics, that means abhivyakta dharmakeshu. And this is then elaborated in some sort of different texts where they say, Sakshat Gruhyamaneshu Nacha Agama Anumana Vishayeshu. Okay? So if you remember the process of Samapatti, there is a certain object whose support the Chitta has taken. In Savitarka and Nirvitarka, that particular object was not a subtle entity, it was a gross entity perceivable by the senses. Now if we go by that sequence, when the gross entity Samapatti is moving towards the subtle entity Samapatti, the entities that constitute the gross element, so the gross element is the Grahya at that point. And he says, Sakshat Gruhyamaneshu. So that is being directly perceived, as it were. That is the Arthamatra Nirbhasa. So Sakshat Gruhyamaneshu, among that entity that is being directly perceived through the yogic pratyaksha, right? That is made up of subtle entities. And those particular subtle entities at that time have certain manifested characteristics. Now to give an example, if the object was lotus, the Samapatti, there might be for example again, there might be an aspect of the Rupa. Right? So let's say it's a pink lotus. Or there might be an aspect of the Gandha, of a specific smell. So the subtle entities that constitute the Rupa and the Gandha at the time, at that particular time, that particular color and form has been manifested. The pink color and that particular form. The Gandha, that particular smell has manifested. So those are the Abhivyakta Dharma Bhuta Sukshma. Okay? So now, Abhivyakta Dharma Keshu Desha Kala Nimittanubhava Avachinneshu. So that particular experience, that particular Samapatti, as conditioned by Avachinneshu. Conditioned by what? Desha, Kala and Nimitta. So Desha is about the position in space. Right? So the subtle entity, as it plays a role in that particular object which has become the support of the Samapatti. So for example, the subtle Tanmatra of Rupa as part of the lotus at the time of the Samapatti. Right? So that is the confinement there. That is the conditioning, Desha. Kala. Right? That again, that Tanmatra at particular time manifesting a certain property such as certain color, certain luminosity and so on. So that is Desha, Kala, Nimitta. Nimitta stands for sort of Hetu, sort of the cause. So the Nimitta that conditions the subtle element, the Bhuta Sukshma, is given by the Samapatti process that is happening. So in this case, if we are going from the lotus to the particular Rupa Tanmatra, the Nimitta is that particular Nimitta which is manifesting certain specific characteristics of the Tanmatra. That potentially the Rupa Tanmatra can give so many different things at so many different times. But when conditioned by that particular yogic pratyaksha that is happening, we are seeing a specific place, a specific time and a specific nimitta, a specific cause. So Desha Kala Nimitta Anubhava Avachinneshu, as conditioned by Ya Samapattihi, that particular Samapatti, Sa Savichara Ityuchyate. So that is called Savichara. So Savitarka was also conditioned by the Shabda Sanketa and so on. Savichara is also conditioned like Savitarka, except that Savitarka pertains to the Bhuta Sukshma, the Tanmatra, the Indriya and so on, all the subtle elements. And the conditioning is different. There it is about Shabda Sanketa and so on. Here it is about Desha Kala Nimitta. So because the object is different, the conditioning is different, and it also follows the process. As he said, you enter the tunnel and then sort of the light, it becomes dark and the light comes again. So this is a gradual process. So as we go from gross to subtle, there are certain conditionings that pertain to the Bhuta Sukshmas at that time. When those are manifest, those particular conditionings related to space, time and nimitta are manifest, the Samapatti in that, with that as the object. So again, here Samapatti is about a particular subtle entity. When you reach that state of Samapatti, that particular conditioned Samapatti of the subtle element is called Savichara Samapatti. So that is the definition of the Savichara Samapatti.
So Patanjali begins by saying, as that has been defined, this should be deemed defined. Savitarka, Nirvitarka being defined, this should be deemed defined. Now, there is dissimilarity because that is Savitarka, Nirvitarka pair, and this is different because this is Savichara, Nirvichara plane. So that's the distinction. However, there is indistinction somewhere. That's why he says that having been described, this too stands described. Now in Vitarka, Savitarka, Nirvitarka pair, if you recall, it was Shabda, Artha, Jnana. And we took the example of cow. Regarding the cow, with reference to cow, there is verbal cow. There is an object cow, which is tangible, which can be perceived sensorily. And there is knowledge cow. So there is a form of the cow, and therefore knowledge of the cow also has a form in our mind. 4 legs, develop, tail, hair, horn, etc., etc. So even the knowledge of cow within us has a shape, and that's why we say, referring to the Jnana, we say this is knowledge of cow. Although there is no skin, flesh, muscles, bones, blood, etc., we say this is knowledge of cow. Why? Because the shape of the cow is very much there, emulated in the knowledge of the cow, which is a luminous cow. If you recall, I told you, in the Jnana, the object is luminous. If you recall the example, I said laser show. Laser show. What is laser show? It's all light. Yet laser show gives you some forms. Similarly, our knowledge is like internal kind of laser show, where we get the depiction of objects, when they are gross objects, sensory objects, visible objects. So therefore there was Shabda Sanketa, Artha Sanketa, Jnana Sanketa. So there was a Jnana aspect factor there, object aspect factor there, and then knowledge aspect factor there. And then in Nirvitarka, what happened was, we saw that Arthamatra Nirbhasa, the Shabda aspect goes away, Jnana aspect goes away, and Arthamatra Nirbhasa, Swarupa Shunyam Iva. Even the pronoun I is not there. It's not my knowledge of cow. I am knowing the cow. That I is also gone. Merely the cow. Now here, this is with reference to subtle objects. Now, it might be wishful thinking on my part if I say, you think I am intelligent. It's my wishful thinking, you think I am intelligent. Now, can you show this object of intelligence? Can you take it out and this is Prashant's intelligence? Like it can be possible in case of artificial intelligence, you will remove the chip and you will say this is the intelligence of the robot. So, my intelligence cannot be objectified. Now, let's imagine that is a samapatti on a subtle thing, such as intelligence, such as love, such as devotion. Now, you cannot be showing it that this is the devotion. This is the intelligence. Is that right? So, you cannot be showing it. The artha aspect, which was there in Savitarka, Nirvitarka, you could show this is cow, this is lotus, this is a pot, this is image of Krishna, image of Rama. Object could be shown. Now here, these are subtle objects. So you cannot be showing the object. So in place of Shabda, Artha, Jnana, it is replaced by something else. What is that? He just now told you. Desha, Kala, Nimitta, Anubhava. Now my intelligence can be felt by you because intelligence manifests in some form. And by the manifestation of intelligence, you say he is intelligence, he is intelligent. By manifestation of stupidity, you can't show stupidity as an object. But subtle thing like stupidity manifests. And looking at the manifestation of it, you will say this is stupidity, this is intelligence, this is love, this is affection, this is reverence, this is devotion. So it manifests. How does it manifest? Deshakala nimitta anubhava. See, if I am intelligent, I am all that I am intelligent to whatever degree. But you will not see my intelligence if I am walking on streets, if I am in a shopping mall. You will not see this intelligence with reference to Yoga Sutras which you are able to see. You can't be seeing that I am a student of Yoga Sutra and I can be talking on Yoga Sutras or trying to communicate on Yoga Sutras or try to instruct and teach you in Yoga Sutras if you see me bargaining in a market. Is that right? So it needs a place. This is the place. If I am in a flight, I am on a train, I am in a coach, this will not manifest. Because you are my co-passenger, I will ask you, who are you, what do you do? And then we'll be talking about that. Something mundane, something meaningless, something which is just a type pass. So, my intelligence with reference to yoga, my intelligence reference to spirituality, adhyatma, will only manifest in particular place. Okay, then particular time. If I know Yoga Sutras, you will not know that I am whatever a teacher of Yoga Sutra or student of Yoga Sutra while I am sleeping, fast asleep. It will not manifest there. It needs desha, kala, nimitta. Is that right? It requires time, space, situation. Without time, space, situation, manifestation won't be there. However, the intelligence is there. I have got reverence, I have got love, I have got intelligence, all that is there, 24/7. But it doesn't manifest everywhere for you to cognize it, to recognize it, to identify it. So, desha, kala, nimitta. Similarly, anubhava. Gulab Jam, Rasgulla is a delicacy. You might be having infatuation for it. You will like it. You like it. Okay, ice cream, you like it. But if the Deshakala Nimitta is not proper, your Anubhava is not proper, is not the same. I can offer you ice cream. I know you are ice cream crazy, ice cream mad. What I do, I knock your door at 2:30 a.m. and then I wake you up and I say, here is this ice cream flavor which you like the most. You will kick me on the face. Although the fact is that you like it. Your anubhava is different. When you are very sad, you may not relish it. When you are happy, joyful mood, you might relish it. So although you like ice cream, the particular flavor, it is the anubhava, the experience of it is not one and the same. It depends upon so many things. Is that right? Time, space, situation, scenario. Sometimes you really don't like it even. And it is not the same relish every time. When you are happy, there is one relish. When you are very, very, very happy, there is one kind of relish. When you are not happy, another kind of relish. If you are sad, another kind of relish. So relish also will change. So with reference to subtle things, such as I told you, the gandha. Yes, rose has beautiful fragrance. Now that fragrance is not going to change any time. Rose means that fragrance, anywhere. Fragrance won't change. But your reception of the fragrance changes. Sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't like it so much. Sometimes you will not even take it, you will throw it away. I don't want. Why? Because you are disturbed. You are disturbed in your state of mind. So our anubhava doesn't really correspond to object. There is so much subjective element in it. Desha, kala, nimitta, anubhava. Now these are the factors with reference to subtle objects. Because the shabda won't work. There is no artha. Just now I said of intelligence. Intelligence is an object. Can it be shown? It cannot be shown. It can be experienced. Love, can it be shown? It cannot be shown. It can be experienced. Because these are subtle things, unlike the cow, unlike a cat or dog or lotus. There are forms for it, and you can say, yes, this is horse, this is cow, this is elephant, this is cat. So, in Savitarka, Nirvitarka pair, the supports were grosser. Therefore, the aspect of Shabda, Artha, Jnana came in there. The tripartite constitution and their similarity, oneness, etc. The word is cow, the object, cattle is cow, the Jnana is cow. So, some of the phonetic form of the cow, objective form of the cow, knowledge form of the cow. So that was there. Now here these are subtle aspects, such as for your convenience I said intelligence, reverence, love, hatred. I cannot be having an object which is having a form. Anger doesn't have a form. Manifestation of anger has a form. Love doesn't have a form. Manifestation of love has a form. Reverence has no form. Manifestation of reverence has a form. Now how that depends upon what? Desha, kala, nimitta, anubhava. So these factors will be there. There is desha, there is kala, and that matters a lot. You won't like somebody's love anywhere, anytime, in any situation. Even if your beloved loves you, you won't like the love anywhere, anytime, in any situation. So these are the factors which distinguish. With reference to cross, the distinction was between Shabda Sanketa, Artha Sanketa, Jnana Sanketa. Aspect of verb, word, object, and knowledge. Now here with reference to subtle, that is not there. Even when it comes to love, can you express your love 100%? Many things are not expressible. You say, I can't express by words, beyond words. So these things are beyond words. Where is the word then? Where is the phonetic aspect to be considered here? So these things are beyond words. Subtle things are beyond words. Ahankar and buddhi, ego and intelligence. Ego, intelligence, emotions. Can you see the distinction there in objects? So it is all to be experienced. So these are beyond words. Subtle things are beyond words, beyond grasp, beyond any perception. That's the realm of subtle objects. That's not like in case of gross, that's not the case. Graspable, feelable, sensible, perceptible, cognizable, etc. So this is a subtle realm. So distinctive factors there were Shabda, Artha, Jnana. Here, Desha, Kala, Nimitta, Anubhava. So those are the things which will constitute the meditativity of Savichara, Nirvichara. While in Savitarka, Nirvitarka, Shabda, Artha, Jnana, Sanketa constituted the meditativity. Okay? So in our religious consciousness, Saguna Bhakti, Nirguna Bhakti. Kabira, Nirguna Rama. Ramdas, Saguna Rama. So form, with form. So Saguna, Nirguna, they will the process will be different. However, finally they will get religious consciousness. Rama Bhakti will come by Saguna form. Rama Bhakti will be there even in Nirguna form. It's not that Nirguna Rama Bhakti is not Bhakti, it's Bhakti. Kabira was also Bhakta. Tulsidas was also Bhakta. What was Tulsidas' Ram? With qualifications, with qualities, with attributes. How was Kabir's Ram? No attributes, nominal. But both ultimately had religious experience. So subtle will be going into various realms. Subtle, very, very subtle, very, 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 very subtle, very, 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 very subtle. So there are so many grades of subtle, just as there are grades of gross. So with reference to Savitarka, Nirvitarka, Shabda, Artha, Jnana were the things which were constituting the process of meditativity. And now here it is, Desha, Kala, Nimitta, Anubhava. These will be distinctive factors. Your experience of me now is one. Your experience of me while I am conducting a class is another. Your experience of me when you are meeting me is another. Your experience of me while we are traveling together differently. While we are in a party, your experience of me will be different. So many scenarios. I am in a party with you. We are traveling together. We are moving together. Or we are come to meet me. Or we are meeting. Different experience of Prashant. Different attributes of me. I am in a class teaching Asana Pranayam class. Teaching Yoga Sutra class. Everywhere it's a different manifestation of me. So these are changes. In your experience of Prashant, similarly the subtle will be going from very, very subtle to very, 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 very subtle to absolutely subtle to absolutely nominal. Absolutely nominal. So that's the realm of the subtle. So this is the Samapatti called Savichara Nirvichara with reference to subtle, where the constituting factors are not Shabda Artha Jnana but Desha Kala Nimitta Anubhava.
Okay. So again, the Samapatti is a certain type of knowledge process which is supposed to give direct pratyaksha, okay, a direct perception. Why? Because the chitta is said to take the form of that particular object without any impurities, so it's an accurate representation. Okay, so that is the framework with which we are understanding this. So that particular object, in this case, is a subtle entity, and that particular subtle entity is manifested with a specific set of characteristics as defined by the Desha Kala Nimitta Anubhava. Now, Vyasa further says, Tatra api, here also refers to just like Savitarka. So Tatra api, Eka Buddhi Nirgrayam. Okay, so to be, sort of the Chitta gets the knowledge with Eka Buddhi. So the Eka Buddhi is the reason why the Avayavi concept was introduced in Savitarka Nirvitarka. Here also it is Eka Buddhi, so it is not a multitude of things that is being cognized. The subtle entities are also built by subtler entities, like he said. So, but in the Samapatti process, it is the Avayavi, it is the one object that is being cognized. Tatrapi Eka Buddhi Nirgrayam Eva. Eka Buddhi Eva is an emphasis only. Udita Dharma Vishishtam. So what is the type of subtle entity? It is Udita means manifested. Udita Dharma Vishishtam, characterized by specific characteristics, specific attributes. So the subtle entity in that form. The example was the Rupa Tanmatra of the lotus, as characterized by the pink color, a certain luminosity and so on. So that subtle entity in some sense is shining in the Chitta. Chitta is cognizing that alone. Udita Dharma Vishishtam Bhuta Sukshmam Alambani Bhutam. So what is that? that has become the alambanam, that has become the support of the chitta at that time. Samadhi prajnayam upatishthate. So that particular bhuta sukshma, that particular subtle entity, of the nature of being characterized by certain attributes, then it sort of upatishthate means arudo bhavati. It sort of resides, establishes itself in the samadhi prajna. So the samapatti is the samadhi prajna. So that particular state of knowledge is one where that subtle entity has established itself onto the chitta, onto the samadhi prajna. Now, Vyasa will further distinguish this particular state with the nirvichara state. Okay? So this is the first distinction that we'll see. Later we'll see the second distinction. Now both of these we need to understand. So Vyasa continues, Ya punaha sarvatha sarvataha means, okay, and the other one which sarvatha means in all the ways. Sarvataha means from all directions. Okay? So sarvataha shanto dita vyapadeshya dharman vichinneshu. So now let's split this, okay? Shanta udita avyapadeshya dharma anavichinneshu. So Shanta refers to the characteristics that were manifested in the past but are no longer there. So that is a past state of the subtle entity. Udita means the one that is in the present, that has risen and that is currently manifested. Avyapadeshya means something that is latent or potential, may arise in the future but currently not there. Okay? So one that is not touched or colored by all these things. Okay, so that is encompassing the past, present and future. Sarva dharmanupattishu. Okay, so one that is able to follow all kinds of characteristics, because the subtle entities can manifest in multitude manner, right? And this understanding of the subtle entity, which is not conditioned by a current manifestation, which encompasses past, present and future, and encompasses all kinds of characteristics, sarva dharmanupatishu, sarva dharmatmakeshu. So one that has all dharmas in it. So all the characteristics are contained in it because it is able to manifest whichever is relevant based on the nimitta and the desha kala. So that particular samapatti. So now the same subtle entity is the support of the chitta. So it is the knowledge of the same subtle entity, but in a completely different way. In the savichara, it was a particular desha kala nimitta and therefore a particular characteristic of the subtle entity. This one is an all-encompassing with respect to space and time and characteristics, all-encompassing understanding. That samapatti nirvichara ityuchyate. So this is one distinction between savichara and nirvichara, where savichara has a certain conditioning which he just described based on desha kala nimitta anubhava. Nirvichara, that conditioning goes away. Therefore, a complete understanding encompassing space and time and characteristics, that happens because it is a pratyaksha, it is directly present in the chitta. Okay. Now let us look at the second distinction between savichara and nirvichara. Again, let's look at it carefully. Evam swarupam hi tad bhuta sukshmam. Okay. So this bhuta sukshman, so this subtle entity is of this type. Okay. Evam swarupam hi tad bhuta sukshmam. This subtle entity is of this type. Etena eva swarupena alambani bhutam. In this manner, in this form, it has become the support of the chitta. Okay. So this bhuta sukshma is of this type, is of this form, and with this form, it has become the support of the chitta. Samadhi prajna swarupam uparanjayati. So this is the nature of the samadhi prajna. So what is the knowledge at that time? The knowledge says, oh, this is the subtle entity of this form, and in this form it has become the support of the chitta. So that particular understanding is how the samadhi prajna is colored. So that is the nature of the samadhi prajna. So there is an awareness that, okay, this is the knowledge, this is the understanding I have of this particular bhuta sukshma. Okay. So that happens in savichara. So there is an awareness that the knowledge process is going on, right? So that is happening in savichara. Now, prajna cha swarupa shunya iva arthamatra yada bhavati tada nirvichara ityuchyate. Okay? So now this, when it becomes swarupa shunya is not about going away of the pronoun I. It is not about the going away of the yogi's awareness of himself. It is not the swarupa of the yogi. Okay, the swarupa here is the swarupa of the prajna, the swarupa of the knowledge. So this understanding that the subtle entity of this is of this type, and the subtle entity has become the support of the chitta, which shows awareness of the knowledge, right? When that awareness of the knowledge goes away, and arthamatra nirbhasa, so there is only the object, only the subtle entity in the chitta. The chitta is not aware that it itself has the knowledge of that subtle entity. That the swarupa of the prajna, when it goes away, that state is nirvitarka, okay, as nirvichara. So we have seen now two distinctions between savichara and nirvichara. The first one is about the subtle entity being conditioned and manifested with certain characteristics. In nirvichara, that doesn't happen. All the characteristics, there is no conditioning, past, present, future, everything is present. So it is a complete sort of 360-degree knowledge in space and time and characteristics. That is one distinction. The second distinction between savichara and nirvichara, in savichara, there is a awareness that the samapatti is happening. There is an awareness of the knowledge. In nirvichara, that awareness itself goes away. And in that secondary sense, the pronoun I goes away. Okay, in the primary sense, the knowledge awareness goes away. And when that itself has gone away, there is no question of awareness of the pronoun I. So in the secondary sense, the pronoun I also goes away. And then what remains in the chitta is only the object. There is no awareness of the knowledge of the object. So there is no reflectivity there. Direct the object, it is a direct pratyaksha. Okay, and that is the yogika pratyaksha of the subtle element. And that is nirvichara. So now in conclusion, Vyasa says, Tatra mahad vastu vishaya savitarka nirvitarka cha. So both the savitarka and the nirvitarka are about the mahad vastu. Mahad vastu is the gross substance that can be perceived with our senses. And sukshma vastu vishaya, so the ones that deal with the sukshma vastu, and the sukshma vastu could be, as we saw, gruhitru grahana grahya. So it can be an object, a worldly physical object. It could be the subtle aspect of the indriya shakti, which is the grahana, or the grahya, which can be the asmita rupa purusha, the gruhitru, the gruhita, the one who is cognizing. All these come under the realm of subtle elements. Sukshma vastu vishaya savichara nirvichara cha. Evam, in this way, ubhayoho etaya eva nirvitarkaya vikalpahanir vyakhyata iti. So for both of these, in the same manner as nirvitarka was explained, there is no vikalpa. So shabda artha jnana vikalpa, desha kala nimitta anubhava vikalpa, all that has gone away. When you come to the nirvitarka or the nirvichara, it is an unconditioned direct perception, complete knowledge. The main difference is nirvitarka deals with a grosser substance, nirvichara deals with the subtle entities for which there is no other way of knowing. Okay, so for the vitarka, there is a pratyaksha that is possible. You can look at the cow. For the vichara, for the subtle entities, there is no other way of directly grasping it. The yogic samapatti and samadhi way is the only way to gain the knowledge of those, and that is what Vyasa has described in this sutra in detail.
Hey, being samapatti, it is an absorption. It is meditativity, absorption. Now with this aspect in your mind, now try to understand what I am going to say. You can get absorbed while you are enjoying delicacies. You are having a party and you are enjoying delicacies and you get absorbed. If you are getting absorbed in such a gustatory object of taste, what will be your absorption? What kind of absorption will it be? Then you are reading a novel, piece of literature, poetry, novel, fiction, and you are absorbed. What is the outcome of it? So then you are reading noble philosophical text, gospel, life of a saint. You are absorbed in reading life of a saint. What is the outcome? Everywhere you will say, I got absorbed. Absorption in watching a movie, absorption in having a sensory gratification. You can get absorbed in sensory gratification. You can get absorbed in so many things, from ignoble to noble, worldly to sublime. Everywhere absorption. What is the absorption? What is the process of absorption? How will you characterize the absorption? What will be the fallout, effect of absorption? So this is Samavati process, is an absorption. Meditativity, meditation, absorption, trance. Now here, suppose, take the noble object, more yogic object, meditation on Rama or Krishna. Now, meditation on Rama, certain qualities of Rama will appeal. Now suppose merely the form of Rama, beautiful icon, beautiful image, beautiful drawing, beautiful piece of painting, beautiful figure of Rama, and you are getting absorbed. So what will be the absorption? On the other hand, particular quality of Rama which has appealed you. But say, and again the qualities are different. Valor of Rama to patience of Rama. Rama's valor is also worship worthy. You might be a devotee of Rama because of his valor. You can be devotee of Rama because of his quality, such as patience, such as forbearance, such as tolerance, such as magnanimity. So there are different qualities, various qualities why you will be going for absorption in Rama, in the memory of Rama, in the thought of Rama or Krishna. So there are various, these are all subtle aspects. Because the valor cannot be shown. Manifestation of valor can be experienced and can be understood. But valor cannot be shown that this is his valor, this is his power, this is the prowess. Effect of prowess, effect of power, effect of valor can be cited. But valor as such cannot be an object. Manifestation of valor can be an object. Beauty cannot be object. Manifestation of beauty can be an object. Forbearance cannot be an object. Manifestation of forbearance is the one which appeals you. Is that right? Rama's tolerance, Rama's forbearance. The manifestation of it really appeals to us. Not the valor itself, not the tolerance itself. So, in Savichara plane, it will be appealing for us a quality of Rama or Krishna through the manifestation of it. And then as the absorption becomes more and more profound, that manifestation support will be going away. It doesn't stay. So then your absorption becomes on a subtler aspect. then manifestation of forbearance, manifestation of tolerance, manifestation of steadfastness, etc., etc. So initially in Savichara plane, at the onset of meditativity on subtler aspects, these things, desha kala nimitta anubhava, will be there. And then they will depart from the sight, and you will be merely worshipping the valor of Sri Rama, or the qualities, forbearance, tolerance, etc., the patience, etc. The qualities, not the manifestations. The manifestation will fall apart. When you are in a deeper absorption, the supports in that form no longer remain there. So those things will go away. Desha kala nimitta. Now here, suppose I'm giving telling you, relating story of Ramayana, and then I go on describing philosophical perspective of Ramayana, the ethereal, metaphysical, philosophical aspects of Ramayana. So there is Desha. You know that you are in the institute. I am giving a talk on Rama. It is Sunday morning. It is Sunday around 10:30 or whatever. So all those things will be still in your, impressions will be there in your mind, that I am here, I am in Pune, I am in Model Colony, I am in institute, and this is Sunday morning. But as the absorption becomes more and more profound, those things fall apart. Although they are very vital supports for onset of sublimity in you. So slowly these things will all fall apart. Just as in Nirvichara, certain aspects of Savitarka, in Nirvitarka, certain aspects of Savitarka fell apart. They went away from sight. And that's why you got Nirvitarka Samapatti, which is actually Samadhi. And therefore the attributes such as Arthamata, Nirbhasa, Swarupa, Shunya, Iva. Now similarly here, these are being subtler aspects. These things will go away from the sight. But how is the onset for your love and devotion for Krishna or Rama? See, support might be Bala Krishna. Krishna in Vrindavan. Krishna with Yashoda. What about Bala Krishna? Krishna Leela. So that might be appealing for you. So the appeal was either Bala Krishna or Bhagwan Krishna of Bhagavad Gita. Now when you have Bhagavad Gita as a locus, Krishna of Bhagavad Gita as a locus for your meditativity, there is no Makhanchor Krishna there. Is that right? There is no Makhanchor, one who is stealing butter. But if it is Bala Krishna Leela, then Makhanchor will be very much there. One who was stealing butter would be very much there. And that will create manifest love, reverence for Krishna. And that will land you in meditativity. How will that be? On the other hand, Bhagwan Krishna, the great wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, that appeals to you. And then you end up meditating on Krishna. So the onset was different between love for Bala Krishna, Gopala Krishna, and then Bhagwan Krishna. Onset is different. And slowly they will all lose the sight. When you are engrossed in Krishna, the supports which are so fundamental are no longer there. They are gone. So it's only your Krishna consciousness, love for Krishna, Krishnification of your consciousness. I could have said ramification, but ramification has a word in a different meaning in English. So I am not using the word ramification, but Krishnification. Krishnification of your consciousness. Then that is one and the same. It doesn't really distinguish between whether it is Balakrishna as locus, or Gopal Krishna as locus, or Muralidhara as locus, or Govardhan Krishna as locus, or Bhagwan Krishna as locus. When you are in love with Krishna, all those which were cause for you to love Krishna fall apart. So that is something like that is nirvichara. All those supports by way of Deshakala Nimitta Anubhava, because you have experience of one experience of Gopal Krishna, another experience of Balakrishna, another experience of Govardhan Dhari Krishna. Another experience of Ranchhod Das Krishna. You know Ranchhod Das? Fleeing from battlefield. But ultimately it becomes Krishnification of your consciousness. So similarly, reverence, love, as I said, these are the subtle supports. When they subsume your consciousness, all those incidents, all those time, space, situation, scenario and experiences, they have no meaning. They fall apart. Like dry leaves, they fall apart. And it's just Krishnification of your consciousness. It really doesn't matter whether it's institute or model colony, Pune Institute, Sunday morning, all that falls apart. Is that right? So onset of it is Savichara. Like the example of tunnel I gave you for Savitarka, Nirvitarka. When you enter the tunnel, you enter darkness. Then there is pitch darkness. Then the darkness slowly fades out and you get again the light at the other end of the tunnel. So this is, Savichara is the onset of meditative process on subtler, which are not tangible aspects. It's not like absorption in a fiction novel, absorption in a movie. But these are subtler aspects, like absorption, getting absorption in a gospel, getting absorption on philosophical substance, religious substance. The appeal is totally different, caliber of the appeal is different, grade of the appeal is different. We have appeal for even mundane things, beautiful textile, beautiful form, beautiful complexion, beautiful color, beautiful eyes, beautiful nose. This ends you into delirium. Is that right? But absorption into such noble things, supports, don't end you in delirium. So absorption is absorption. But how absorption can be changing? So there are grosser, mundane, worldly, delirium potentials to sublimity potentials. So similarly, in gradations, love can be an ignoble emotion to noble emotion, sublime emotion. Absorption can be similarly for delicacy at a dining table and absorption in Krishna Leela, Shravana, Rama Leela Shravana. If you are hearing about Rama, what happens? Sublimity. See the chemistry. What is the chemistry of this? Sublimation. So similarly, this is Savichara, Nirvichara plane with reference to subtler metaphysical things. Not subtler physical things, subtler metaphysical things. And Savichara is the gateway, Nirvichara is culmination. In Savichara there are all these things, Deshakala Nimitta Anubhava. Later they all fall apart like dry leaves falling from the tree. They fall out. They are fundamental supports, vital support. Without that, you won't get absorption. But in the state of absorption, they are no longer required, they are no longer there. So also the meditativity has a process. There's a launch of it. So there's a time aspect. So suppose you are now quiet. So we just highlight the present state of quietness. But some quietness of some caliber has gone on into latency. And then some quietness can be forthcoming in the futuristic realm. Atita, Vartamana, Anagata. So when you say now in a quiet state, there is a preceding moment of quietude. But at the onset of quietude, preceding moment was disturbance. There was disturbance. Disturbance was replaced by quietude. Now when you say I'm in a quiet state, that means there was something of the realm of the past, quietude of the realm of the past, which is now latent, which has potential quietude for present state, and present state can be further escalating for very quiet state. That means there is futuristic quietude. But when you are at the other end of it, what happens? You have reached the brim, apex point of quietude, and now it is fading, tapering, and bringing you to chaotic state. So suppose you have long preceding state of quietude. How is that quietude? A short preceding phase of quietude. How is that quietude? Richness of that changes between what was, if the atita quietude is long, profound, then your present quietude is different caliber. If the preceding gone past, quietude is short, then this is not high caliber. So that's how the quietude builds up. So when you have gone long way into the tunnel, you get darkness. But not so long that you come to the other end of the tunnel. Is that right? You should have gone long enough in the tunnel to the extent that the other side of the tunnel is not close to you. So all this advertence will be there. How long I am meditative? How long I have been sublime and meditative? For some time this advertence will be there. Yes, for some time I have been quiet. For some time I have been serene. For some time I have been sublime. So you'll have advertence on that. And I can be still going for sublimation. That also will be there. I can be, still sublimation is going to come. So all these advertence on the time aspects with reference to frames, latent, actual, potential will be there. And in that nirvichara phase, that too will be gone. So that time advertence will not be there. Now, when you say, 2 hours I was absorbed in the class, that means you are not really absorbed. If you have the advertence of 2 hours, it should be timeless. What you call as timeless state. So in nirvichara it will be timeless. In savichara it will not be timeless. Time advertence will be there. Time, space, situation, these advertences will be there. In nirvichara they fall apart. That's the culminative phase of samapatti. Okay.
Just one clarification, so that it's not misunderstood. So, see, when we refer to absorption or the devotion that you mentioned, one might construe it as one is thinking about Krishna and so on, then there is bhakti, an upwelling of emotion and complete absorption of the mind. Okay? That is not all that is being talked about here. It is not like there is beautiful music and we are completely absorbed into music. What it says, both for Nirvitarka and nirvichara, clearly it is said, tat param pratyaksham. Okay? So whatever is happening in the chitta, whatever object is become the support of the chitta, it is an actual entity whose complete knowledge is being given. It's not something make-believe into which. So it is not something make-believe that one has conceptualized, there is a lot of devotion and somebody is absorbed. It is an actual pratyaksham, an actual manifestation of that entity into the chitta. Tacha shrutanumanayor bijam. So whatever happened in that chitta there, it is the seed of all the shruti, all the Vedas, all the knowledge, the otherworldly knowledge in all its correctness manifests itself in the chitta. Tataha shrutanumane prabhavataha. So all the shruti and the anumanam, the inference, begins from there. So if one gets absorbed into a certain entity, if it is to be called nirvitarka or nirvichara samapatti, it's not like somebody has gotten psychologically absorbed or there is religious consciousness or so on. It is a knowledge process of the ultimate purity, the ultimate reality shining into the chitta and has become the support of the chitta. That, I mean, we should not lose track of that as we sort of hear the further elaborations around it. Okay? So it's not like you come up with something, meditate and you are completely absorbed. In this particular case, whatever manifested in the chitta is the reality, the 100% reality that has become the support of the chitta. Okay, so absorption is one angle of looking at it, but the culmination and the relation to what Yoga Shastra says is the reality, that has not, one should not lose track of that as we are learning this.
You see, because if you are meditating on Krishna and you get Krishnified, what is it? Just a relish for you, you enjoy, oh wonderful, I have a transcendent state. But same thing happens to Mirabai and Surdas. What happens? They have revelations, they have realizations. We don't have realization. If you are in puja room there, and sometimes once in a while it happens that you are totally absorbed and you feel, oh, you are in timeless world, etc., etc. You might get a transcendent state, but you don't realize Krishna there. But someone like Mirabai, someone like Tulsidas, someone like Surdas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they also got Krishnified. What happened? They had realization. In modern world, we are all going for meditation for it's a psychedelic experience. We want to have that kind of transcendent state and feel it and relish it, enjoy it, and again we are back to square one. Because we did not have realization. In your Krishna Bhakti, sometimes you might meditate on Krishna and Rama and you might get sublime state. What thereafter? You are back to square one. There is no realization. But then in Savichara, in this yogic process of it, there is realization. When you have realization, you are transformed. You are not the same. So your Krishnification, how much will it have impact on you? And Krishnification of Mirabai, Surdas, or case of Tulsidas, Kabir, they get realizations. Realities are realized. We don't realize the realities. But in Nirvichara, it goes to that extent that realities are realized as they are, essentially. So Samadhi doesn't just give you a wonderful state. Like after sleep, you feel fine. Good sleep, you feel fine. So good dhyana, you feel fine. This is our plane of dhyana. That is not being discussed here. Do you follow? So this is Samapatti, yogi's plane. For yogi, he gets realization. Kabira meditated on whenever meditated Ram, he realized realities. We meditate Ram, we must just get transcendent experience, that's all. So we go only that much far up in consciousness that we are again getting landed. We don't get realities. Here, the realities are realized in the realm of subtle metaphysical things, which is so important for someone on very high pedestal of consciousness. not you and me. We are not on high pedestal. We are not seeking that. We are only seeking something for wellness in our life. That's why we are all doing yoga. We want wellness and continue the nonsense of our life.
Okay. So we'll recite the shlokas on Guruji. वैज्ञानिक शिक्षकत्वे कलाकार आसनेषु यः योगाभ्यासे च तत्त्वज्ञः तं वन्दे सुन्दरं गुरुम् योगवृक्षो लोकेऽस्मिन् वर्धितो यस्य प्रेरणया योगाचार्याय गुरवे सुन्दराय नमो नमः।